You are listening to the CADDle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants. I am Jim, your disturbingly loud host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco, and all I heard from that was disturbing.
Disturbing. See, you see how he insults me, folks? And that is why you all must suffer through the engineering joke of the week. All right, I'm going to disturb you here. You ready?
Okay.
Why did the engineer take a magnet to the party? Oh, I think we lost your microphone there.
Why?
There you are. Because he was hoping to attract some attention. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. But there we go. All right, so that's enough of the pain for today, folks. Let's get into the podcast. All right, so we have a first-time guest on the show today. Adrian Salcedo, who sits on the safety committee for the Associate Builders and Contractors of New Jersey, is here with us today. So, Adrian, thank you for taking the time to be here, and I hope I didn't butcher your last name, sir.
No, fine. Just perfect.
All right. Hey, look, I can read and everything. Nice. All right, so we asked Adrian to be here to kind of talk a bit about construction site safety in general, but we also want to get into a tool that we like a lot here at ZenTek and that Adrian has done some work for, or work with himself, called SiteDocs. And we see SiteDocs as it's a really useful way of handling site safety processes and documentation. But we wanted to kind of get some input from somebody who understands, what the industry requirements truly are, and has also kind of used it themselves, right? But before we get into that, let's learn a little bit about Adrian himself and his background. So, Adrian, what should folks know about your professional background and what you do at ABC, and how did you get that job over there?
Well, let's see here. I started out in safety about 8 years ago through a general contractor, and then I went to a third-party safety company called Signature Safety. Very good people. I worked part-time for ABC as an instructor for their apprenticeship program. Now, all that entailed was basically teaching a course to people that were new to the construction environment. And we basically taught them safety, blueprint reading, tools, power tools, construction math, certain things they would need to get basic information so they could increase their knowledge of construction. And at the same time, they were going to class twice a week. They were also working full-time for the contractor that they were working for, so they got OJL hours, or on-the-job learning hours. Was doing that for about 5 years, and ABC offered me a position as a full-time instructor, which happened about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, and I joined ABC full-time. Since then, I have been still a full-time instructor, but they are kind of moving me into the area of safety compliance. And this is where I get to help 1,700 of our contractors that are ABC members, helping them make their companies safer, not only on the construction sites, but with their paperwork, with their STEP program, as far as their levels of safety. We're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that everybody understands our companies that we support are diligently trying to become safer.
And that's perfect, right? Compliance is such a huge, huge issue. And you're only working with 1,700, so that shouldn't take you more than like 10 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah, a day.
All right. So look, folks, I think everybody knows, right? Safety it's just paramount to every single construction project. Construction site, it's one of the busiest and arguably one of the most dangerous places on the planet. I mean, and it's vital to make sure that people aren't just running around doing whatever they want, in order to get their particular task done as quickly as possible. Safety requirements they're more than just, the tedious paperwork that OSHA and the government mandate, as so many of us think and complain about. They're really vital steps in protecting the lives and the health of everybody on that construction site. So, Adrian, how important is site safety documentation in the real world, and how do construction management and tracking systems like SiteDocs help with that?
Well, that's easy. It gives you fingertip access to all the paperwork that you would need, especially with SiteDocs. Everything when the project is put together, from the bid process to choosing who the contractors are going to be, choosing who the construction management team is going to be, all the information is loaded up on the SiteDocs. During the course of a normal workday, from the time they get in and they're doing toolbox talks, as soon as they get done the toolbox talk, they can upload it into SiteDocs. If a safety person like myself is walking around doing their normal routine in the morning, doing their rounds, if they see something, they can take pictures, they can upload them into SiteDocs right then and there. It's also good because you have JSAs, JHAs, a HASP, fire safety plans. Everything can be loaded on top of their electronic equipment, and it's accessible. That's the greatest thing about it, because no matter where you are, on site, off site, you can look things up. And SiteDocs seems to help that a lot because it is an easy system to use. And a lot of the construction management teams that we've been dealing with use it. So it's really good in the real world, because we need to make sure that from top to bottom, beginning to end, everybody comes in 100% and they leave 100%. And we can keep a paper trail of everything that we need to do on site.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to describe it. I think that covers it really nicely. So look, I mean, I think that everybody listening, everybody in this industry really kind of understands that, safety processes need to be addressed. But I think it's also important to try and simplify them, right, as much as we possibly can. We're all busy. We're trying to meet deadlines. We're trying to get our work done and, move on to the next project, right, so that we can all get paid. Taking the time to fill out, right, dozens of forms and knowing, which form should I use and when does it have to be done, that can really bog down your day. And I see why, there's a lot of pushback, and there are very often delays, right, in getting that site safety documentation or certification completed for every job. So Adrian, since, like you said, you've worked with SiteDocs before, right? How does that help with, I guess, ease of use for the daily field people, as well as for, the folks in the back office who need to track those safety related issues?
Well, SiteDocs acts very well for especially like safety guys like myself, because what will happen is whoever the contractor is, whoever's giving out the paperwork in the morning, like if they do a toolbox talk or if they're working on their JHA, which is going to be telling you all the different scopes of work that particular contractor is going to be doing during the course of the day, it lets us know what we have to look for. Like if a contractor says, okay, we're working on trenching 20 feet of area so that we can put electrical conduit in. Okay, so how high is it going to be? What steps are necessary? That's all put on the JHA. We can bring that up lickety split because it's right on the tablet or on the computer, and we can see stuff before we roll out. They're supposed to have it to us before a certain time. Sometimes a little late, sometimes it's on time, sometimes it's early, but we do get it. And when we get it, we have to review them so that we know what they're doing on site. I could have 15 different contractors and I'm going to have 15 different sheets to look at, but at least I know what I'm looking for. Is there a confined space? Do we have the permits for it? Are they doing any, firework? Do we have the permits for it? Are they doing trenching? Do they have shoring for it if it's more than 4 feet? I mean, those are the little things that we are going to see as safety people on a site, and we need to know those things so we can prepare ourselves to make sure that everybody's doing everything according to protocol. It's not an easy task because, like I said, if we have 15 contractors, there's a lot of things we have to do. but it's not usually just me on a site. It's me and my safety team. We could have 4 or 5 people, and we're just going to break it down. And all right, you're going to go into zone 1, you're going to go into zone 2. I'm going to handle 3. It helps when we have good communication with the contractors and also whoever the construction management team is. Because look, if we have any safety issues and like say they didn't have it on their JHA, we can go up to the management team and say, hey, listen, they're doing this. They have nothing on paperwork saying they're doing this today. Can you please talk to them and find out what they're doing?
Yeah.
So at that point, now we're giving good communication to the construction manager, letting them know, hey, we found something. We're not trying to get anybody in trouble. We're not trying to stop work, because when we stop work, no one's getting anything done and no one's going to get paid. So guess what? We want everything to move smoothly, and we want to do everything as safely as possible. So if we have to, adjust and let construction management know, boom, it's done. We can talk to the contractors and say, hey, listen, you didn't put this on your JHA. Are you working on this today? No. Okay, fine. Or yes. Okay, you have that added to your JHA. Just make the adjustment, sign off on it, and then rescan it to me and send it to me so that we have it on file. Because if anything happens on site, because they were doing something different than their scopes of work on that JHA, we have to know why. And if God forbid anybody gets hurt, we have to know why they did the work they didn't tell us about. And how did this person get hurt? And, there's just too many things, too many avenues where things can get lost and communication's not bad. We want to try and make sure communication is 100% every time.
It makes sense. I mean, just the fact that you can, like you said, update, make adjustments, changes on the fly, and notify everybody as things are changing or altered or something that got missed. I mean, that alone has got to, you get those the safety standards set up and tracked, right? Before someone goes into the 8-foot trench that wasn't shored up and finds out the hard way how heavy dirt can be.
Now, you look at 2 years ago when a lot of these apps or these construction management tools weren't available 2, 3, 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Everything was paperwork. It was hard copies. You know how long it would have taken me to get somebody to adjust something because they're in the middle of work and, I don't have enough time to do it right now. I'll give it to you later. It never comes to you later. It's one of those things. Look, just make the adjustment on your tablet or whatever you're using. Send it to me. Okay, here we go.
It's a beautiful thing. I like that. So Rocco, let's wake you up over there. So look, you talk to a lot of people about construction safety processes, right? Who seems to be more interested in a product like SiteDocs, right? Do you see it more with the field staff or is it the office staff? And what's kind of the difference there? What do you think that is?
Yeah, it's actually both. On the field end, right, like Adrian just mentioned, where so many folks are still using paper out there, and this SiteDocs just automates, right? It makes everything easier and cleaner. I mean, you construction folks are out in the rain and snow, and the documents get smudged and so on, and so that's got to get translated into the office where folks have to interpret that documentation and wait for it to eventually get there. Having a system like SiteDocs allows both field and office to really be more efficient and productive and more professional all around. So it's both.
Okay, good to know. All right, folks, let's take a quick break so we can get our sponsors get in a word today. And when we get back, I want to get into more on SiteDocs safety processes and why they are important for all of our construction listeners out there, right? So stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the CADDle Call podcast. Hey guys, it's Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants, and we want to talk to you guys about our managed contact or construction technology services that we offer here at ZenTek. Look, we're all working with a million different software systems. We're all trying to integrate them and get them to communicate and collaborate and work together. And you know what? The answer isn't always more software. That usually just brings more headaches. What we try to do is work with you as your managed construction technology service provider to help you integrate and develop all the software systems and workflow processes that you need using the software that you already have. We can help you guys with your project management, estimating, ERP systems, just about any workflow that you have to help it all work together and get your folks working the way you need them to. So let's start that conversation. So Rocco, how do people reach out to us and get the ball rolling with our contact services?
Yeah, hit up our website, ZenTekConsultants.net. If you go under the services section, you'll be able to see those services listed there. You could always give us a call, 866-824-4459, or drop us an email, sales@ZenTekConsultants.net.
There you go. All the construction technology, management help that you need but have not been able to find or afford is just a single phone call away with Managed Contact Services by ZenTek Consultants. All right, everybody, welcome back to the CADDle Call podcast. We're talking with Adrian Salcedo from the ABC today about site safety, in general, and SiteDocs safety software in particular. And we discussed kind of the general importance of safety, tracking, and documentation in the top half of the show. And in this side, I want to get into some of the specific benefits that a system like SiteDocs can bring to the safety structure in the construction world. So Adrian, in terms of actually accessing and using SiteDocs, what type of devices can people use to do that? And which ones do you think are the most beneficial for either field or office use?
Well, I will tell you that all desktops and laptops can access SiteDocs. The nice thing about SiteDocs is you can put them on iPads. You can actually look it up on your phone. If you take pictures right there when you're on the site, you can upload them from your phone right then and there. It's instantaneous. Well, not instantaneous. It takes a minute to upload depending on your, how many bars you have on your phone. I love the fact that in the field, whenever you see something, you can document it right away. If I'm in the field and I see somebody working on, say, electrical power lines, and I didn't see that on their JHA, all I have to do is go up to the JHA area that's on SiteDocs, look for the contractor, bring it up, and look and see exactly what they told me they're going to do. So you have everything as far as information right at the tip of your fingers. You need it right then and there, you can get it right then and there. Oh, did they turn in a confined space permit? No, they didn't. Well, okay, it should be in here somewhere if they did. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. They did turn one in. You need facts, factual right away, it gives it to you. And you can use any device, iPhones, you can use Androids, tablets. I know that some use like the Galaxy tablets. They use iPads, laptops, desktops, whatever you can get an internet, contact with, then you're good to go. But those are the most beneficial things are instant access and instant, uploads. When you're doing your pictures, when you're doing your rounds, you can put notes in there. Anything you need, it's done right then and there.
It's pretty man. One of the things that I do love about its mobile phone interaction. One of the things that we've been seeing a lot of our clients do is it's got QR code scan capability as part of SiteDocs, and they got a bunch of folks who are putting in plastic sleeves. They're printing out a QR code, slapping it out at the gate, and just telling people, hey, here's your basic PPE and OSHA requirements before you even step through my gate. Scan that code with your phone, answer the questions, check everything off, and finish that before you can even come on site. So yeah, I love that functionality. I think it's so
as
cool.
As an additional thing to that, a lot of the security companies that are working for the sites that we're on do that same QR code for anybody that's going to have access to the site. So they do this QR code with their phone, they put all their information in, and that's how they're using their badging system with that QR code through SiteWorks.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, it's so versatile. It's pretty cool. And you can do a lot of that same stuff. We're talking about being able to assign things to people. We've had a bunch of folks on the office side who are adapting it for HR needs and onboarding needs and refresher training and licensure requirements and certification follow-ups. It handles all of that. It's really amazing what it really does. It's cool stuff.
Yes, it is.
So look, I think it's important that everybody listening to understand that even the most powerful safety tool out there, it isn't a replacement for training and for common sense and for good safety planning. I'm a big fan of SiteDocs, as you guys can hear. All right, and I really love what it brings to the construction table, but I don't believe that there's any software anywhere that's going to handle every safety issue to the level of, hey, we set it and we forget it. And I don't believe that there ever will be. So, Adrian, how do you see, as a safety professional, how do you see a system like SiteDocs working, in support for good safety plans? And what items do you think really need to be addressed for safety outside of a good software structure?
Well, I will say that as far as safety is concerned, I don't think people utilize their apps, whether it's SiteDocs, whether it's any of the other ones, to their full capabilities. Just as an example, daily inspections on their equipment. Now, I do know that SiteDocs, with that QR code, you can actually do the inspection. You hit the QR code, and it brings you up the checklist of everything you need to do. A lot of people are not used to doing that, and I don't want to say people pencil whip their lists, but sometimes it happens. But, the one thing that it does as far as good safety plans, it gives you, like I said, actual factual. What are they doing? How are they doing it? What do we have to look for? Are they using scissor lifts? Are they going to be harnessed? Are they going to be lanyard? OSHA gives you a minimum for the construction management team as far as safety protocol. It gives you a minimum of things you need to do. If the construction manager has it where they're a little bit more stricter with their rules, then you have to abide by those rules. If it's more stringent, then that's what it's supposed to be. That's how you have to do it. A lot of people are like, oh, well, OSHA says for a scissor lift, you just have to have 2 feet in the bucket. You don't have to be harnessed. You don't have to be lanyard. Well, according to the manufacturer for the scissor lift, yes, you do need to be harnessed. Yes, you need to be lanyard. So more doesn't mean it has to be bad. More just means it's safer.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing we're looking for, especially with the safety plans. We don't want to, like I said, break anybody's stones. We don't want to stop any work, but we need to know that you are doing what you are saying you are doing, and you're being as safe about it as you can. Now, as far as the good software structure, there are some things that need to be addressed. Could there be a little bit more of a better filing system? Because, if you do something on today's 4/10/26, you forget to put the date on it, and it uploads, it kind of goes all the way to the bottom of the list because there's no name or no saving file. It just puts it as a document. You'll see the timestamp on it. You'll see the date stamp on it, but only if you're looking for it. So ease of use is what I'm looking, for as far as any app that we're using. But SiteDocs, they're better than most.
That's a fair statement. I'll take that. That's good stuff. Look, I think another important thing to understand about construction safety, there isn't a single process that is going to work for every job site and for every company. The issues that need to be addressed, on a rural highway development job, those are a lot different than what you're going to need to look at for, a 100-story high rise in a major city. And then by the same token, right, a residential plumbing company, they're going to have different safety needs and requirements than a firm that's doing, high voltage underwater marine power installations. So, with that in mind, Adrian, how does SiteDocs, right, kind of stack up in terms of being customizable, and how important is customization in terms of, the site safety documentation, compliance, tracking stuff?
Well, creating the files on SiteDocs is relatively easy. You go in, you say add folder. From that folder, you create safety. Then you're going to create subfolders for SiteDocs, and you can say, JHAs. From the JHAs, you add a subfolder that says, contractors. Then you can put everybody in there. You can do all the steps that'll make it easy for you to find things. If there's a good admin and they are solid on their SiteDocs skills and experience, you're going to have a much cleaner and more legible look at everything on SiteDocs. As far as the paperwork from the bid process, who's on site, what contractors do we have? Do we have their contracts in? You can put that stuff on there. You can do anything as far as, materials coming in. You can put times are coming in and it'll give you updates. There's so many things that you can do and so many things you can customize it with because of the fact that it gives you and allows you to do all of it. A lot of the files that you're going to see, especially like the ones I used, every day was a different breakdown. Contractor A for electrical, contractor B for HVAC. All right, electrical's inside the data room. All they're doing is running wire today. Okay, go to the next contract. HVAC. Okay, they're putting stuff on the roof. They are also putting sheet metal vents up. Okay, so we know what we're looking for. We know what we're doing. It helps the safety process a lot. And if you have somebody who knows what they're doing with site, it took me a little bit of time to get used to it because I wasn't used to having something so easy to use as far as a tool. Nobody explained it to me, but I was able to teach myself how to use it because it was so easy to use.
And that's a great recommendation right there, right? Any tool that you can figure out on your own, that's always a plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree with it. We see a lot of folks who are doing exactly that. And actually, that's where we'll bring Rocco back into the conversation here. So, Rocco, when you're out talking to clients, right, does customization and configuration and the ability to kind of add their specific needs on the fly, like I said, as things are changing, does that come up a lot in those discussions that you're having?
It's not a huge part of the discussion, but it does definitely come up, and the ease of use is key, right? I mean, so much software out there that we're all involved with is just so complex, and you want to tweak it to fit your needs, and it's you got to go over the hill and through the woods to make it happen. So having a tool like SiteDocs that makes customization easy is essential, and it sells itself once folks start to get their hands into it. So we sell and support and configure and train for SiteDocs here at ZenTek. So definitely feel free to reach out to us, hit up our website, email us, reach out. We'd be happy to talk to you more about it.
Fair enough. All right. So as I always do, folks, as you guys who listen know, I like to give our guests the last word, right? So they can tell us something that I didn't think to ask them about. So we're going to do that for Adrian. So Adrian, what else do you think our listeners should be considering in terms of, site safety processes, whether it's, general site safety or something related to a system like SiteDocs?
Well, the nice thing about SiteDocs is they have already items that are in the system. They have like contractor management, they have incident management, hazard management, certificate management, inspection. They have a lot of different things you can use. And you can curtail them to what you need, whether it's, general materials, what time they're coming in, or, hey, we had a problem with a worker, we had to do corrective action. You want to know what all the equipment is on site. They have asset management. I mean, yes, you can do all that, and then you can also do analytics and reporting. Those are just some of the things that you can do with SiteDocs. I like it because for the safety side, it makes everything manageable. As long as I'm uploading everything I can, and as long as all the other contractors are uploading their stuff, it makes it very easy for me to use. That way I can send my guys out to where they need to be, so they need to watch whatever's happening at that particular area. And, we're not fighting against ourselves to figure out, oh, well, what did they do? What they didn't do? Are they being safe? It's giving us full access to all of that right away. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it has a lot of different arms to it, but like I said before, it's easy to manage it because you kind of can put it the way you need to do it for yourself. Not everybody runs a site the same way. Like you said, I did a data center. We had 62 electricians on at the same time.
Oof.
And they had different things that they were doing. They're running, the data center. They're installing conduit. there were 4 different places we needed to be just for them. So when they did their JHAs in the morning, they actually gave us 4 separate JHAs so that we could split them up and we knew exactly what they were doing. They did a great job telling us what they were going to do, and it made our job easier so we can go out, look for what we need to look for, and make sure that everybody goes home the same way they came in.
There you go.
So that's
all digits attached.
absolutely.
All right. I tell you what, so with that, folks, I think we're going to let you all get back to your day. But before we go, I just want to say thank you to Adrian one more time for taking the time to be on the show with us, sir. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Always.
Thanks, Adrian.
All right, gentlemen, with that, we're going to get out of here, and we will catch you next time on the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody, today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of ZenTek Consultants. That's Rocco and I. ZenTek Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. ZenTek strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to ZenTek?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentekconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentekconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.